VeeFam, what's up? I am back. This is Rob, Mr. Messer, with another awesome episode of the VeeFam sessions, and I am super thrilled to have Mikey Caloca, head designer from VeeFriends, in the VeeFam sessions hangout booth. Mikey, how are you, bud?
My dude, I'm doing amazing. I appreciate you having me, Rob. I'm super excited to do this.
It's such a special treat to have anyone to take their time out of their busy day to come on. But it's this extra special treat when someone from the team can jump on here and support the cause and just share their story because they're all amazing ones, and I love hearing them and just getting to know the VeeFriends deeper and one-on-one. So really appreciate the time and uh, meet the man behind so much of the amazing work that we've been seeing in our Twitter feed and in VeeFriends, social media and the blog and everywhere. So if you don't mind, if we could take a step back and start at the
Sure.
beginning, could you just give us a quick 55-second cliff notes on who Mikey Caloca is pre NFTs and VeeFriends and all of the things?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the kind words. I actually did not intend to uncover the mask. I kind of wanted to stay a little bit behind the shadows as to who was making all the designs and stuff. I'm not going to take full accountability for everything because I haven't made everything, but for everything that I have made, I was trying to stay kind of low key. But Corso, shout out to my boy, he kind of convinced me to come out of the shadows a little bit. But 55 seconds is going to be tough, but I can do my best. Pre NFTs, I got into design extremely recent, about 3 years ago. I was never a creative kid growing up. I was a very sporty person. So I graduated college in 2020 with a sports management degree. That's when COVID kind of slammed everybody. And it sucked because all of sports got wiped completely. So it was all on a hiatus, and I had student loans due in 6 months. And am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, absolutely.
I do cuss by accident a lot, and I just want to make sure I'm good.
You're safe here.
Yeah, I was pretty much fucked when I got out of college because I had no job, and I had student loans due in 6 months. So I had this PC, a gaming PC that I knew was a beast that can handle something. So I needed to make some money. So my mom's a designer as well. So she taught me Photoshop. I told her give me just 20 minutes of just the basics, how to make a shape, how to add a color, anything. And this was 2020, dude. So yeah, I mean, this is way longer than 55 seconds, but
no,
I started
take all the time you need.
It's a cool story. I mean, it kind of leads up to how I got here, but yeah, dude, she taught me the basics, and I was I don't know why, but I really, really enjoyed it after learning how to do it. And dude, I started grinding my ass off, and I started offering to work for free for YouTubers to do thumbnails for YouTube videos. So I worked for free for 6 months until I found somebody that worked at one of Vayner's companies, and I somehow got an interview within 8 months or 6 months of doing design for free. And Tyler Schmidt loved the fucking hustle, and he was like, dude, you're hired. You start next week. So I worked at 1:37 p.m. for about a little over a year, I think. And it was good for me because I was able to get a portfolio. I was able to build sort of a repertoire, a name for myself a little bit. And that's how I sort of learned about NFTs, because we covered the VeeFriends Series 1 launch. And that was the first taste of NFTs that I ever had, because this was during 2020 COVID. NFTs were just kind of booming off a little bit. So I learned how to make a wallet. I learned pretty much everything that had to do with the ecosystem. And obviously Gary being there, I learned about VeeFriends, and I didn't know a lot about it until I got hired before Series 2. And yeah, that kind of bleeds into where I am now. I know I'm so sorry that it's longer than 55 seconds, but
you're all good, man.
I tried to keep the cliff notes because there's so much more to it, man.
No, part of what I think my job is on here is to help people peel that back. So I appreciate you making my job easier. But real quick, So for 137, are you there for the launch? I can't remember in the 137 timeline. I know on your LinkedIn it said February 21. I can't remember
Mhm.
exactly when they launched. I know it was kind of a soft launch, but like, are you like one of the first people in the design department there?
For 1:37 p.m., you mean?
Yes.
Yes, I think when I got hired, excuse me, I think when I had gotten hired, they actually didn't have a designer yet. I was like the first like I guess like proper designer because the guy that was designing before was more of like a social media manager. They were kind of just using maybe Canva or like a beginner Photoshop to design stuff. So they never actually hired like a true designer. And I mean, then again, I had just started designing at the time, so I wasn't really a true designer yet, but I had some experience. So yeah, I think I was one of the first like 15 employees at 1:37 p.m. something like that,
Nice.
which was really dope. I mean, I met a lot of freaking cool people there, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird to think that was 2020. That was 3 years ago, dude. Holy crap, time
It
flies.
is absolutely. And my other thought is prior to this, I mean, are you someone that knew of Gary? Do you consume his content? Did you know like what kind of an interview you were going into at 1:37 p.m. and like who Tyler was, or were you just like, I need a job?
Yeah, so I guess I'll try to tell this as best as I can. I suck with names, so when I have to give a story and give names, I try to like give as much context as possible. So while I was working for free, I've always been a follower of Gary's. I've obviously like watched him and seen his content for a long time. But when I was working for free, one of the first people that reached out to me was a content manager for this professional Madden player. His name is Sahil. Sahil was the content manager. And he was one of the first ones that actually gave me like an opportunity to work for free to make thumbnails. So him and I got a good relationship through our work, and he was like a huge Gary fan. Like he would send me Gary Instagram posts like every day. Like every day I would wake up and I would have like 3 DMs from him with like Gary motivational videos and shit. So it was cool. And then it's kind of like a full circle moment because I ended up working now where I'm at.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've always definitely been a supporter and a follower, and it's definitely cool to like work alongside with him now because it goes to show like he really he practices what he preaches. Like he's definitely the same person that you see online.
Hmm. 100%. In the handful of interactions I've had with him, and that is tried and true, and just one of the awesome things about this podcast is I get to talk to people that are close to him, and
Yeah.
it just bleeds through. It starts at the top and just trickles down through everyone, and everyone has that same DNA.
That's what I love, man. God, I talk about that so much at work that I don't know like what the world is doing, but the people that end up working at VeeFriends are like all cut from the same cloth. I actually was just talking to Corso about this before we hopped on here. Like we're all cut from the same cloth. Like we're all like grinders, hustlers, but we're all like good-hearted people. Like
mm,
it's hard to explain. Like we all sit in a room and we could not see each other for 2 years in person, and we're hugging each other and like you know loving like family like that type of relationship. So it's cool, man. Like I know being on the outside looking in, I appreciate what you're doing with this podcast because it shows like the kind of like the inner side of all this, but everyone here really practices what they preach, man. Like everyone is such good people at VeeFriends. It's like
mm.
so hard to explain, but everyone is just the same DNA. You said it perfect.
And it is to anyone in the VeeFam VeeFriends world, like you just feel it, like right? All you have to do is roll
Yeah,
up to VCon for an hour and you get it. It's the
totally.
it's the hardest thing to explain to anyone that's not in the world yet, and that's what's cool with this whole VeeFriends cards, cardboard summer fanatics thing. Like more people are getting in and like getting that little taste, so you don't really need to do
Yeah.
as much convincing that it's I just remember like talking about VCon, people look at me like I joined a cult or something. Like, like everyone's so nice. You just hug everyone. You feel like family, and like it does sound crazy, like thinking about what you're saying, but it's just true. It's just
It is,
true.
man. It is. And I mean, I I don't know, like obviously you see Gary online, and he's always been known to be kind of like, loudmouth, like crazy. Like that's kind of like how my outsiders would describe him, or like people that I'm like friends with. Like if I was to ever like ask them, like, do you know who Gary Vee is? They'd be like, oh, that's the guy who cusses a lot, whatever. But it's so much deeper than that, man. It's cool because everyone is like you said it. You couldn't have said it any better. Everyone's the same DNA, so everyone is like extremely respectful. I love seeing like the community, um, and just seeing how like it's rubbing off on everybody else too. And
Hmm.
it goes to show there are a lot of like really good people out there, man. And I mean, this community is literally a product of that. So it's super dope.
110%. Um, I do want to get back to a little moment in time on
Let's
your
go.
timeline. So
Yeah.
on March 1st, 2022, you tweeted crazy first month with the Grizzlies, fully settled in and finally in a routine. Jay
Yeah.
Moran, kind of good too. Um, and then I noticed you're only there for a few months. You had a quick cup of coffee, but like what was that like? You go from not having any background, you got this awesome job with in a great ecosystem, and then you end up working with a NBA team. Like that must have been rad.
Yeah. It was definitely rad. But it was a huge learning lesson for me, um, and it opened my eyes a lot too. I've I'm beyond grateful like every single day. The fact that my first, I mean, I'm grateful, but I don't know. It's hard to explain. But like my first big boy job like in the corporate world was 137. So
Hmm.
I worked from home. I felt like I was not spoiled in a bad way, but like people talk about corporate America and like they hate having to go into the 9 to 5, and they all, talk shit about their jobs. They hate their boss. I was the complete opposite. Like I'm looking at people like, how the hell do you hate your job? Like
Hmm.
I'm getting paid to be at home and I love my boss and like I love what I do. Like, what's the problem? So I say all this because when I had gotten the job offer to go work for the Grizzlies, um, if we sort of like connected to the earlier story, I graduated with a sports degree. I've been a diehard basketball fan my whole life. So it would have been dumb of me to not take that because I was gonna go design for a basketball team. The only scary thing was I had to move out of my parents' house for the first time and go live in Memphis, Tennessee. And I'm in Atlanta, so I'm not too far from Tennessee. But
Okay.
it was still like an extremely big jump. Like with you got to think in a year timeline, I'm going from graduating college to learning design, getting my first full time job, and now getting a job offer to work for an NBA team. Like life moved so fast. Um, and I do a pretty good job of like not of dealing with stress, but this definitely like nicked my armor a little bit, and I was like super super stressed out, emotional, like all that. When I made that first move, it was tough. And I moved to Memphis and I kept quiet for like a month or two. And I had to work in an office for the first time ever. Um, and, the organization was great. Like the Grizzlies were great. They handled everything great. Like my boss was great. It was just, I really missed what I was designing for before. Like
Hmm.
I missed like the purpose of what I was doing before. So so yeah, dude, I had left 137. I left on great terms. But I wanted my job back. I had talked to my parents about it for a little while, and I was like, I think I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm going to call Tyler Schmidt. And me and Tyler Schmidt are like this, like we're super close. So I wasn't scared to call him, but I was more like embarrassed because I had just left 2 months prior. Um, and when I called him, it was kind of like the tail between my legs moment where like, can I please have my job back? Um, and I totally understood. He said that it was probably not going to happen because not for anything bad. It was just that they had literally just taken me out of the system.
Hmm.
I don't think you could put somebody back into the system that fast. So ironically, when I called him, like I was being very vulnerable with him, and you could tell like I was pretty stressed out. And ironically, he had me on speaker, and he was in the same room as Andy. And he was like, "I'll see what I can do," but there's no promises. So he hung up. I didn't hear from him for like 2 days, and then I heard back 2 days later. It turns out Andy heard it on speaker, and he was like, "Who is that?" And Tyler Schmidt said that's Mikey, designer, whatever. Kind of gave the rundown to Andy on who I was, and Andy was like, "No, like I'll take him at VeeFriends." So Tyler called me and he was like, "Yo, um, I've got something for you if you're willing and able. I got a spot for you at VeeFriends if you want." And I was like, "Shit, dude." So I sent the Grizzlies an email that I wasn't going to show up anymore, and I packed my stuff and I moved to Atlanta, like within a week, and I got back to VeeFriends. So yeah, I'm so sorry that I'm getting so long winded on these, but
No, this is these. I love this. Like I'll nerd out on this all day.
yeah, I
But
hate
plus
it, but yeah,
it's an amazing, it's an awesome story because like I just see it now. Like the few interactions I've had with both Andy and Tyler, like it just makes so much
great
sense.
people, great
Yeah,
great
like
fucking human beings. I love them both.
Bash Brothers.
Yeah,
Um, so that's amazing. And you could also package it as a headline like you leave an NBA team to go to VeeFriends. Like,
yeah.
you
I
know,
mean, I
like
obviously, yeah.
that's
People definitely hit me up, and when obviously when I put it on, I love LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is super underrated. And when I put it on LinkedIn, people started hitting me up like, "Dude, what the fuck is VeeFriends? Like, why would you leave the Grizzlies to go?" Because I mean, obviously, people see that I post about the Grizzlies, and it's like it's an automatic like a head turner. It catches people's eye. Like,
sure.
oh my god, you're working for an NBA team already. So I had to explain to some people, I miss my old boss. I miss my coworkers. Like I don't enjoy working for this basketball team. Nothing against them. Like, yeah, it was great. I got to go to games for free. Like I had great seats. I had like the wonders of like being an NBA fan, but just nothing hit like working at one of Gary's companies. So
Mm. So you
and like
felt like
having
you
like that freedom. Freedom,
totally.
freedom, and like happiness is so important, man. I don't give a shit about money. Like anything other than like being happy with your job is not important to me. So when I came back to VeeFriends, that's why I've been stuck here ever since. Not stuck, but like solidified. I love it here.
Yeah, you felt like you were going home a little bit.
Legit, yeah. It felt like I went home. Like when I came back to Atlanta and I was able to work from home again. I am personally a big fan of working remote. I know it's not for everybody.
Hmm.
For me, I feel the most creative and the most like at peace. Um, but it's not for everybody. When I came back home, I obviously had to explain to some people like why I left the Grizzlies, but I definitely felt like I came home. I felt super relaxed. Once all the craziness of moving kind of happened, and I was able to get my apartment, it's been on cruise control ever
Let's
since.
go, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I
That
appreciate it,
really
man.
is awesome. Self-aware hair.
Yeah, I like
Um,
the plug. I love the plug there.
so let if I mean, and obviously, like I'm never gonna push anyone to share anything they don't want to, but like take me to that time. Like, all right, so Andy's gonna give you a shot. Like, what were those first few interactions? What was your job title? What was the expectations? Like, what were you
Yeah.
hired for?
Um, I so in the interview, it was almost like a sure thing that I was going to get hired because of the recommendation that I had from Tyler. Just obviously the factor that I was coming from a job that I just left 2 months ago. So like, going from Grizzlies to VeeFriends, I only had like 2 months at the Grizzlies. So like as an employer, like hiring somebody, it's a little risky. Like, oh, you're going to leave us in 2 months.
Mm,
So I had some pretty big shoes to fill when I joined. Um, the first few interactions, though, were not what you might expect. It was pretty crazy. I joined right around the launch of Series 2. So my first interactions, like I got hired and I got thrown into the fire. Like my first few days, I was staying up till like 2 or 3 in the morning, exporting all the characters for Series 2. And that was like insane. So first few interactions with Andy were very short. Like we talked on the phone a little bit. He kind of explained like what the plan was for Series 2 and where we currently stood and what was going to happen. Um, and that he was excited to have me, and I was excited to be here, and he heard a lot of great things about me. So I was just thanking God at the time that it looked like everything was like falling into place because for a while there everything seemed kind of chaotic. But when I got here, yeah, it was not a lot of interactions. It was just like that Series 2 launch was wild, dude.
there's a lot going on. That was a wild, wild time. Definitely a wild time to
Yes.
get thrown into the fire.
Yeah.
but I'm sure you, from your 137 days, you had. I mean, you obviously had the context of Series One.
Yep.
I presume you had somewhat of a pulse on what was happening in the ecosystem.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't know. As a matter of fact, so when I left 137 to go to the Grizzlies, I sort of disconnected from NFTs completely. I didn't even pay attention to it anymore for those 2 months, and I felt like a lot happened in 2 months.
mm,
And when I came back, I'm hearing about, we had these new characters coming out, like all, newly made like cartoons. Like I was like, what? So when I started seeing the art for the new characters, I was like, oh shit, this is sick. Like what y'all are doing is sick. This is gonna be dope.
well, yeah. I mean, now that we're on that segment of the timeline, it was bananas because he was teasing these characters, like these new
Yep.
iterations. So it wasn't the 5-year-old doodles anymore.
Yeah.
It was he dropped the cards, the Series One Zero Cool,
Yep.
um, and all this craziness. The Rare Robot song came out during that time. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, there
Um,
was there was so much going on, man, and I had a lot of learning to do too because I wasn't familiar with any of the characters. So I'm coming in, and as a designer, you have to use the IP of these characters for designs. Like if you're making a design about you know be patient. Don't. I'm not saying we're making a sign like this, but we're making a sign about don't cut in line. Be patient, something like that.
mhm,
I want to use the panda. So
right.
at the time, I didn't know any of the traits, any of the characters. I didn't know IPs. So when I joined, there was only I think there was like 5 or 6 characters that I was allowed to make graphics with, and I didn't know their names or anything like that. So I had a lot to learn, and then I realized there was like 280 some odd characters that I had to learn at some point. I was like, oh my god! But now I think I'm doing pretty good now.
I mean, I'll say we'll dive deep, but what
Yeah.
what did what did you what was your process for getting acclimated to that? I mean, do you lean on people on staff? Did you just jump into websites and YouTube or whatever was out there at the time?
Yeah. So for the Series 2 launch, I had to export all the characters in all the poses. So they sent me an Excel sheet and they were like, look, these are all the characters. They all come with these amount of poses, these amount of spectaculars, and we need them exported by this date. So I had to go through this Excel sheet and I'm scrolling. All these names are on this list. I'm like, oh my God. So I wasn't able to learn every single character, but I was able to see them in passing as I'm exporting. Okay, this is Diamond Hand's Hen. This is so and so. I'm seeing all these characters as it's going. Um, but obviously, like as time goes on, like now I'm extremely acclimated to all the characters. But I mean, it's taken me about 2 years to get there.
I mean, it's a lot of characters.
I
Uh,
know, man.
so that's really cool. So, you were there for Series Two, and right shortly after that is VCon One.
Yeah,
So, uh, you're there, and actually, first, before we even get into VCon One, you tweeted a picture out on May 26, 2022, which is VCon weekend, a legendary moment, and it's you and another gentleman. I could presume you're lifting. I wish I had the big picture. I'll show you.
I love the
Um,
research though. I love that you're doing this. This is
uh,
super dope.
um, Gary is on the ground. He looks like he could be passed out, or he just got plowed by a linebacker,
Yeah,
and you and someone else are helping him up
yeah.
at the
Fresco
basketball game.
Trey. Yeah.
That is for okay. I wasn't totally sure. And
Yes.
I'll put the picture up in the post, but give us some context about that because it is a legendary picture
Yeah.
from an outsider's perspective, I think.
Yeah, so actually, I'll give a little bit of a story to this too. This is actually kind of a funny moment, and I'll provide the clips for you if you want to post this. This is actually kind of funny.
Okay.
So so VCon one, we had a bunch of like cool like employee like get together days, and one of the days was VCon celebrity basketball game, and it was like with VeeFriends staff and like a few like artists and some like influencers and stuff. So we went to the Minnesota Timberwolves practice facility and it was really early and Gary walks in and I had never played basketball with Gary before. As a matter of fact, I hadn't even had really an interaction with Gary yet. I had only been at VeeFriends for
A couple
maybe
months at
three
that
or
point.
4 months at a time. if my timeline is correct. So I, obviously working at 137, I didn't have any interactions with him there. So I never had like that moment with him. But I've always been told like people will eventually get that moment with him. You just don't know when it's going to happen. And that's how he'll be able to like, grow a relationship with you, is like having that moment. So we're playing basketball, man, and fucking Gary is a dirty ass player, dude. He sets these crazy screens. Like he plays real rough. And I'm not trying to be like an asshole to my boss.
Sure, that's a
So
tough spot.
yeah, like he hit this layup on me that I thought he traveled. I thought I blocked him. I guess I fouled him and he scored on me, and he's like, he's yelling at me. He doesn't even know who I am at the time, and he's yelling at me, flexing at me. You little, I forgot what he said. He's like, you're weak, you little bitch. Like calling me a bunch of names. I'm like, damn, like yo, relax. So towards the end of the game, to seal the game, I hit a huge corner three, and Gary got pissed when my team won. Gary fucking punts the ball into the rafters, and like goes and sits in a corner. so so
VCon.
I this is before VCon started that day. This was at like
That's
our basketball
amazing.
game in the morning. Yeah, but it was at
But
VCon in
I
Minnesota.
like at this big celebratory weekend, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
The
So
visual.
well, this is great because like, obviously I come from a basketball background, so I want to put like my stamp that hey, I can hoop. But that morning, it's first of all, it's my first time playing on an NBA court with an NBA ball, which is like it's a learning curve. So like my shots weren't falling the whole morning, but I hit this fucking tremendous three at the end, and it just pissed him off. So he didn't know me, so he's pointing at me, and he's like, "Who's that? Who's that fucking black kid in the? Who's that kid in the black shirt?" And I was the guy. I think D Rock was like, "Oh, like that's Mikey." So I go up to him and I kind of like shook his hand. But turns out he was telling D Rock, he's like, "Yo, that kid in the black shirt, fire his ass on Monday. I don't want to see him anymore." And it ended up showing up on his daily V, and it was pretty funny. But after that, he shook my hand and he was like, "Yo, like hell of a shot, hell of a shot." And the whole weekend we kept joking about that shot, and that was probably actually that was me and Gary's like moment. That was what ended up. That's how he's able to like pick me out of a crowd now. Was like, looking at me and be like, "That's the kid who hit that fucking shot." And we kept joking about it the whole weekend, and it was great. And I don't think he'll ever forget that one. So that was a pretty sick. But yeah, so I'm so sorry again. That picture, I think he had just fallen, and I'm just picking him up, and that was just a cool moment for me because it was, first NBA facility playing against
That
Gary, and like I like Fresco Trey a lot, so it was just a really, really dope picture.
absolutely, and definitely sounds like you got your stamp imprinted
Yeah,
on the whole ecosystem there, and much
yeah.
better that than like you kind of taking your foot off the gas and kind of just letting it be. Like,
Yeah, I wasn't gonna let him because he's comfortable. He's comfortable. He's talking his smack, and like the
right.
thing is, nobody there is talking smack back to him. So I'm like, why are y'all all being soft? Like, no, I'm gonna start talking shit. So I started talking smack to him, and I think that's what he was like. Who's that kid in the black shirt? Like, I don't like his attitude. Let's fire him. I was man, like, come on. But all in all, it was a great morning. It was probably like one of the most memorable days that I ever had working at the company. So, um, yeah, man, I'm glad that
That
you found that picture. It's actually really
that
funny.
that's awesome. So you're relatively new to the team. Like, just if you don't mind, just jam. Like, what were your thoughts at VCon? Responsibilities, memories from VCon one? Because no one really knew what to, outside of a few promo videos. No one really knew what to expect,
Of course.
except that they were going to get together for the first time and see each other IRL, and obviously a bunch of cool speakers and whatnot. But other
Yeah.
than that, it was pretty much like, what is this thing going to be?
Yeah. Yeah. VCon, as a matter of fact, when I joined, I had joined a little bit late, and I was told that I wasn't going to make it to VCon. And then all of a sudden, last minute, um, they were like, "Hey, surprise, you're coming to VCon." So I was like, "Oh, dope." So I had to like, and it was like a week or two before. So thinking that I wasn't going to go, I wasn't really sure what to expect. And then when I got the news that I was, I started looking into a lot of the speakers, and I was excited because I mean, once you're told that you're going, you kind of have like a role. Like everyone has a role at VCon. And I was gonna be working. I was gonna be handling the social media accounts. So I had gotten logged in on my phone and all the accounts, whatever. We get there, and I mean, we were all blown away. I think the first few there was like me. I think it was like Andy and and I forget who else was there early with us. Cam from the tech team. Shout out to him. But we're there like kind of before it's all like fully built. We see the Ferris wheel. We see the stage. We kind of see like the foundation of it just still being built, and we couldn't believe it. Especially me, I really couldn't believe that this is actually like a real thing. This was like my first time like being IRL with the VeeFriends teams too, so kind of is sort of an eye opener and kind of a breath of fresh air too. Like after all the chaos that I had at the Grizzlies and moving back home, all that, like this was like a real like oh my god, thank God type moment. So yeah, I was gonna handle the social medias, and we ended up having this chaotic ass merch booth, dude, and we released. Did you see the merch booth?
I mean, from afar.
Yeah, dude, it was insane. We me Ben Olenek, who was part of the apparel team. I think Corso. That's how
Corso's
me and
holding it
Corso got
down.
real
Yeah.
close. That's how me and Corso got real close. But we were told by Ben like, hey, we're gonna need some help because there are people lining up outside for the merch. So Ben told us like, hey, at most I only need you guys for like an hour or two, maybe till lunchtime, so for like 3 hours. So dude, the doors open and people start storming down the stairs, like running. And mind you, it was raining, so I'm thinking like someone's gonna get hurt or something. Like we're watching, like everyone's eyes are kind of like holy shit, and we're all like texting like in this group chat like yo, like be ready, like watch the merch table. And dude, the merch table was so chaotic. I mean, Corso and I ended up being at that merch table the whole weekend. We didn't get there for just 1 or 2 hours. We were there all day, the whole weekend. But I mean, it was insane. VCon ended up being awesome. I mean, it was a blast. It was cool to see like the community that we see and like love online in person, and like people being very respectful. There were a few like interactions like in the merch line, like women getting pushed and like some like crazy stuff going on, but like all in all, the love from the community would like come in, step in, and be like, yo, like nah, let's help out, whatever. So it was just cool to like actually be in a venue where there's so many like nice people, because that's so hard to come by these days. So it was a very, very like eye opening, and like I loved it. Like it was awesome. And VCon 2 was great too.
Yeah, so I'm interested. Was your role as far as designing or coming up with any assets or creative for VCon 2? What role or roles did you play in that?
VCon 2 or VCon 1?
VCon 2.
VCon 2, I was making all the freaking speaker posters y'all saw with all the names,
which were fire.
I appreciate that, but those were insane. So yeah, a lot of the individual assets that had like all the speakers on them with the names on them. A lot of the merch. I can't remember. Did these come out for Yeah, these were out for VCon 2. I can't remember.
They were.
Yeah, there was.
They came out before. I can't remember like what line, but they were.
My timeline sucks, but yeah, a lot of it was just a lot of the signage that were on the doors and sometimes on the screen. A lot of stuff, man. There's so many like creatives that come through for VCon. Excuse me.
Did you design that green shirt?
Which green shirt with the
pictures, like the one that sold out in like 4 seconds? It was green, and
it had like a graphic, like a cartoonized graphic.
Yeah,
that was my boy Eric. I believe that was Eric.
That was really cool.
Eric is a fucking awesome designer, dude. He's like my right hand man. I believe it was Eric. I want to say it was Eric. But it was definitely not me. I'm not gonna take responsibility for that one. Yeah. But yeah, it was a super dope shirt. I can't remember all the merch that came out at VCon 2, but yeah, a lot of the stuff that I made for VCon, you probably saw when you got there, like a lot of the signage and stuff on the screens and stuff. And then it's just insane because I'm juggling like that alongside like whatever we're collaborating with or coming out with at the time. And
Sure.
then also like setup. Like I made the pin boxes, the Halloween pin boxes before VCon 2 happened.
Really?
So yeah, like
Well, I mean, that
I did
makes
those a long time ago. So like I'm juggling all this while VCon is like, about to happen.
right.
So yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot, but it's fun.
I mean, they're definitely just to tie the bow on VCon. I mean, everything was just up leveled. Like expectations were high and everything, but everything just felt like the stage, the posters, the everything
I
was
appreciate
just
it, dude.
like
I appreciate it.
totally boosted. And that's just not like me, like VeeFriends nerd. Like that was just like the consensus. That was just the taste. Like no one walked away disappointed in anything.
Yeah.
Um,
I love to
so
hear that. I love to hear that. The people that I work with are fucking awesome, and we want to put out like the highest quality production for everybody. And we know that it's new. We know that it's going to be, overlooked because it's new, but like just know like what you're getting is a really high quality, like well made, well driven like production. And it's going to be fucking sick next year too. I'm super excited.
yeah, I mean, LA. I mean,
I can't believe it.
that's so with that, and you said you had the pin boxes made prior to VCon. Like, do you have like you're probably making stuff. We're talking November 9th. I mean, obviously the logo and the design is set. Like, is your plate full right now of VCon stuff for 250 plus days away?
There was a little bit of spike in some VCon stuff recently with a lot of the announcements coming out. But right now, there's not so much VCon stuff. A lot of stuff that will come out that I can't speak about yet, but a lot
Hmm.
of stuff that I am working on right now that'll come out. I'm honestly not even sure when. It's probably gonna be a while, but I will tell you when it does come out. I'll say like, hey, that's what I was working on.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, right now, I think the only reason why I think not so much VCon right now is because it's going to be in August instead of May. So it's probably going to end up
right.
pushing forward about 2 months, 3 months, my timeline a little bit. Um, but yeah, dude, I'm sure, beginning of the year, it's going to start ramping up. We got to start getting a lot of the assets ready for the. I mean, I'm guessing the venue, a lot of the, just whatever you're gonna see at the event. I got to start making it and getting it printed and all that stuff set up. So I'm sure sometime in the near future I'll start seeing some stuff. But besides right now, it was just the announcement stuff that kind of came onto my plate.
Got it. Got it. Um, I want to rattle off a lot of quick things, but before that,
Yeah,
just kind of bird's eye view. Is there a asset or piece of creative, whether it be an activation or collab that you're most proud of, or one that has been your favorite that you've created?
I love and I hate this question because somebody asked me this the other day and I got stuck on it. And I still cannot even realize what I've done or like what I like the most. I don't know, dude. I think, damn. I love this hoodie. I love this hoodie. Um, I love this design. The pin boxes came out super sick. Um, fuck, dude. Probably the Halloween pin boxes. That's probably the one thing that I've looked at it.
Mm,
Like I saw it for the first time at the office the
yeah,
other day when I was in New York. Um, and I was
so
like,
for the
man, this
first
this is
time,
sick. Yeah, I hadn't seen the pin boxes yet. I
I
don't. I
mean,
actually
this
don't.
is just
Yeah, isn't it awesome, dude?
it's so sick.
I
I
love it.
mean,
I'm
every
not
little
even like
detail.
gawking over like what I've done. I just like the way that it came out. Like it looks so freaking sweet.
I mean,
Yeah. I love if
everyone.
you fold the top, the Jolly Jacko has its hands like peeking up over the thing.
I mean, it's just so dope. Just the whole presentation.
Yeah, dude.
It's been a
I love
lot of
them.
fun to seeing these get ripped. I don't know if you ever see like the breakers out there, like Teacher or Josh, who have the
Yeah.
Twitch, and they break them. Like it's just so fun, and like you just look at that and you're like, I don't want it. I need that.
I love that.
Um,
I love that you say that because that's exactly like Me, that's I've never, like I told you, I've never been creative, but I've always had an appreciation for like good packaging.
Mm,
And I mean, even as a typical consumer, like if you go to the store and you have two bottles of shampoo, they both do two different things, but one that has this like badass packaging that just stands out to you versus this like bland one, your eye is going to go towards the better packaging. Even though it's probably a worser product for you, it's just the packaging stands out to you. So I've always been that way. I've always like loved packaging. So, and I love, my favorite holiday is Halloween. So when I got the ask for the Halloween pin boxes, um, I was like, I wanted to make it with the sense of like that's something that I would want on my desk. Like if I see it, I'm gonna think that's a badass like box. So yeah, I actually don't like get a lot of the things that I made, which is kind of crazy, but I don't have any pin boxes. So I went to the office this past week, and I saw it for the first time, and I was like wow, dude, this thing is like so sick. And I love seeing people open them, just like kids happy to see them, like even
hmm
adults, man, like happy to see them. It's so cool. So I was really really excited when they got announced because that was a long time in the working. I think I made those in like March, which is crazy.
So March 2023, you
I
got
think
the
I think I think I got to look at my working file, but I believe it was like March or April. It was definitely before VCon
wow, and
because I
it's
made them the same. I made I made the big display box. I made the small ones, and then I made have you seen the pin box with the 5 in the front that hasn't come out yet? It has like
yes,
the
that they
5.
had those at
Gary
VCon.
has, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. I made those the same week. So I know for a fact it was before VCon because the 5 pin box was
hmm
there. So yeah, I'm those 3 were super sick. I mean, I want that 5 box to come out too. That thing is so sick.
So sick. My wife is a huge Capable Caterpillar
That's
fan, and
awesome.
that's in that set, and someone sent it to her.
That's awesome.
Shout out Drew. And man, she just was over the moon. So and that's cool. That's a cool little fact that your favorite uh holiday is Halloween.
Yeah.
But
What's your
so
favorite packaging so far from VeeFriends?
that I hate to not I hate not to, but like I saw that and I was like, wow, because I never really got into the pin so much, but that was like the driver. Plus, like the idea to put the pin and the super sticker. It's like
Yeah,
you have to.
they're awesome. I love like watching the Fanatics lives and seeing people rip them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's sort of why I was not influenced, but I was a little more open to like I said, like coming out of the shadows a little bit and start telling people what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was really good with like just staying put and like not letting anybody know. But Corso was like, dude, like you gotta like say something. Like people are asking about it at this point, like wondering who the hell's
Right.
making these things. And I see it on Twitter. I just don't say anything.
Got it.
Um,
Yeah, I noticed that you had a big like hiatus of a couple of years.
yeah, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome though. I mean, well deserved props.
I appreciate you, man.
And I think can't remember where I heard this. Um, maybe it's like a YouTube video or a reel or something. But like something is awesome when people keep the box. Like if you buy a MacBook
Yes.
or a Mac, like people keep the box. Actually,
Yeah.
people resell the box on eBay. Like no
Yeah.
one's getting rid of this box.
I love that.
No,
That
no one's
means
just
so much
throwing
to
that in
me.
the trash.
That means so much to me. I that's my pure intention every time that I make something. When I made the Crocs packaging, same thing. Like the Crocs Gibbets packaging, even though it's
hmm
extremely simplistic, it's like it's cool, man. Like when you get a new iPhone, everyone makes the joke, throw the box away, but nobody does it because you want to keep the packaging. Same thing. Like if you get a cool, like I always make the shampoo joke because like I do this, but like in my shower, I like a nice shampoo bottle in my shower because it looks nice. It's all
Mm.
about packaging, man. So I love that you said that because I want people to keep these items because, dude, in 20 years we're gonna look back at this and like someone's gonna go to your house and be like, oh shit, you got the VeeFriends Halloween box? That's crazy. I remember when that came out. Like that's it's gonna happen one day.
Yeah, I mean it's not going anywhere. It's on our shelves, and I know it's on everyone else's.
That's awesome.
Um, I like to do whenever I have someone from the team. I like to do kind of like a remember when. So I'm just gonna throw out some moments, some collaborations, and in your case, like if you just want to riff, like if it was your creation, I
Hmm.
think that'd be super cool. So
Sure.
uh, anything in the CNC world, the national tournament, they had the Alpha tournament with the play mats and uh, yeah, the play the I forget what the official word is, but the card, the special card that they got, was any of that you in your
Are you
designing?
asking if I created anything?
Yeah, or
I
if you
um
had
I
a hand in it, were you at the table ideating ideas?
I made the playmat. So I made the compete and collect playmat a long time ago actually. I made uh there was like a billboard almost that had like everyone's name on it. That kind of like went to the very end. It was like a man. It was a bracket. It was like a bracket.
Rep.
I made that. I did not make the trophy card, the one that is like I think it's graded and
Yeah.
the winner got that card. I didn't make that, and I actually don't know who made that one, so I don't want to give, you know, I don't want to say who did it because I don't know who did it. But yeah, I'm trying to remember what else was there at that tournament. But I know for a fact I was busy as shit that week. I remember that very vividly. There was a lot. Rips was on my ass that whole week. But yeah, it's seeing the compete and collect stuff is really cool too. The playmat, I love the
Mm-hmm.
playmat to this day.
They're super super dope. Um, super stickers. I know they kind of made their debut at the national.
Yeah.
Any hand in designing any of those?
I did not make the super stickers. I saw them as they were being made. I had like creative speech in them, but I did not make them. I believe, oh, God, dude, I don't want to say the wrong names. I don't know. I don't remember who made them, but it was definitely not me. The person who made them fucking killed them though. They're sick. I love them.
They're huge hit right off the rip.
Yes.
Um, pin any of the pins. I know you
Uh,
designed the boxes, but any of the input in the design of any of the pins from any of the
um,
series?
some of the shimmer on the pins, like how some of the pins are made, like the pins are kind of hard to like design because it's just a character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, pretty much every pin packaging I have made, like the Burn Island pin, I made that packaging. Obviously the Halloween pins. Uh, but yeah,
The
a lot of the pins
cynical
is
cat was super super
yes.
cool from
I
what I
remember I
remember
made the
seeing.
packaging for that one. Yeah, so a lot of them is just as far as like actually making the pin, it's just like hey, like add some shimmer to like this one. Like I think it was the Comic Con, the Jolly Jacko head with the glitter in it, like just stuff like that, like really small feedback. Since they're already just characters, there's not really much you can do with that, but the packaging was definitely me.
And one that I personally totally transparent slept on, but is so freaking dope.
Mm-hmm.
The Monsters of the Universe Skeletor collab.
Yeah.
I think I saw a tweet that you worked on it. Did you collaborate with the Mattel team at all?
I did not collaborate with creating the toy, um, but I did make all the creative for it. So like everything
Mm,
that you saw on like socials, I did sort of had to collaborate with Mattel on those because I had to like get approval from them on a lot of stuff. But yeah, so a lot of the creative that you saw, the packaging was not me. The packaging, I believe, was a package that was in actually an interview with Gary. He was on like an Instagram live with the packaging designer of Mattel, and they
hmm
designed the packaging themselves in house. But as far as like all of the VeeFriends creative, that was me.
Amazing. The list of the collabs goes on and on. I think it was Tyler Dowdle that posted like this is everything we've done in October, and it's like
Insane,
two tweets long.
insane.
Unbelievable. The Gregory's coffee, the the parade, the Monsters of the Universe, the pins,
Yeah,
everything. It's absolutely insane. I saw the video of a lot of the team getting together at the parade, and it looked like a total vibe. And I know you're from Atlanta. A lot of the team does work remote, so it must be, I mean, looking at it from like a fan's point of view, it's like that's amazing. The VeeFriends, like that's a really legit parade. And look, I mean, look at that float.
I was
And
there.
look at Crocs. I know,
Yeah.
I know. It just had to be amazing. But for you to kind of connect and feel that, but IRL with the team must be super cool. So like, if you don't mind, like take me to that moment in time when you're like sitting on that float and Gary's there and Andy's there and all these
Yeah,
people
of
you work so
course. Yeah,
hard with all
yeah,
the time. Like,
yeah. Yeah, the parade was super sick. I think the part that like made me smile the most was the fact that when we were like, obviously Halloween is a pretty like grim holiday. Like it can be like pretty like scary, spooky stuff. What I loved the most is that our float, like we have this loud ass music and we have, somebody speaking into the microphone, and the coolest fucking thing was he would go and he would say, if you love life, make some noise. And you could hear like everyone like in the crowd, like on Halloween night, making noise for like being happy about being alive. Like
mm,
that type of shit, like really, really like gives me chills. Like that stuff is like insane to me. But it was super awesome to have like, VeeFriends on a float in front of that many people. Especially in collaboration with Crocs, which is super cool. Um,
super cool.
Yeah, the float came out badass. That was Eric. Eric killed the design on that float. I'm 98% sure that was him. But yeah, the float came out freaking awesome. It was just a cool experience, man. Just it happened so fast. Me and Corso were like dancing on the thing, and we're like, we look at each other after the parade is done, and we're like, every time me and Corso say the same shit, like holy shit, that's real. But it's just so cool, man. Like being able to like get people like rowdy and like excited, but like in a positive way, not like
Mm.
in a negative way. You know what I mean? Like if you love your life, put your hand up, and then people are screaming like, "Hell yeah, dude!" That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, the parade was fucking awesome, dude. I loved it.
That's super cool. I mean, it just, again, there was so much going on in October. It
Yeah,
was hard to follow. But in my head, I knew it was an eruption. I knew that, some people got to go on the float, some community members. Um, but I just thought it was going to be a smaller thing. Silly me. Like,
I
VeeFriends is
didn't
always going to
know.
bring it and bring it
Yeah,
hard.
I didn't know at all. I only go to New York about maybe twice a year. And when I had actually gotten into my Uber in New York the day prior before Halloween, my Uber driver was like you got in here at the perfect time. There's a big Halloween parade tomorrow. Um, and like I'm like, oh really? I didn't even know this parade was that big of a deal. And he
Mm,
was like, dude, are you kidding me? It's like the biggest, one of the biggest parades in New York. I was like, damn. So when we all walked out of the hotel, because we were all in this big hotel by the parade, we walked out of his hotel and we're like, holy crap, look at all these people, dude. And even like being on the float, dude, I mean, the streets, I mean, it was huge. It was a huge parade. So extremely insane turnout. I totally agree with you that October was a crazy month. Um, I can give a shout out to a million people, but I mean, everyone's hands that are in the pot are killing it. I mean, there's so much that goes into having like that long list of collaborations and stuff that we did. Like it takes so much to do that, and it's cool. Like now that it's November, we can look back and like kind of smile about it.
right.
Um, but damn, dude, what a month! Hell of a month in October for us.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, that's a lot to pull off. Um, Before we kind of start to wrap up the last segment, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask the lead designer about uh, Easter eggs. In the community, Easter eggs are a big thing. So obviously signatures and fives. So I'm just curious: is that something that's on your radar? Do you ever think like maybe I could add this? Is someone telling you to like maybe do that? Like, I don't know. Take that with wherever you want to go with it.
uh man, I don't even know, man. Um, Easter eggs, not really. I guess if the community is looking for it, I'm sorry. I guess I'm probably not doing my job. But I don't know. We're not really like strict when it comes to like, character usage and stuff like that. But like I told you earlier, I've learned the IP of the characters now, and I use them like where they need to go. Um, if somebody has feedback or somebody wants to change something, we'll change a character. But I don't I don't normally like throw in characters for like Easter eggs or whatever. Every now and then, just to mess with Corso, I'll throw in the legendary lemur and
Hmm.
like send him something, and he'll be like, "Oh my god!" And then someone's like, "Hey, take the lemur out," and the lemur gets chalked. So I'm always messing with him because he loves the lemur.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I wish I can give a better answer, but I uh I have to kind of be on my P's and Q's when it comes to what characters I use now because
Totally.
things are getting pretty serious.
What are the chances that you think Corso drops the lemur and adopts the admiral as his character?
Dude, he really kills that admiral, doesn't he?
Crushed.
Dude,
Crushed.
he was him and I he was debating even shaving for like 2 weeks. I had to talk
That's
him through
amazing.
it for a while, but yeah, he's a big admiral guy, man. He killed that outfit. I'll give it to him. He went to the store, got the outfit and everything, pulled up.
Yeah.
I mean, he killed it. He got the hat. So I think he fits the bill more for the admiral, but he's got a real love for that lemur. I mean, it's just behind him on that
Yeah.
little canvas he's got. So I think he's
Yeah.
got
No.
love for both. I think he looks like the admiral, like scary, very close. Like how scary it's very very close.
Amazing. Um, Real quick at the top of this
There's
convo,
no rush. There's no rush. So
oh,
real
awesome.
quick, there's no rush.
I,
I promise.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
At the top, you mentioned that your time with the Grizzlies was a learning experience. I'm curious, what's been your biggest learning experience so far working at VeeFriends in the last couple of years?
Oof, that is honestly an amazing question. Fuck, dude. I wish I was so much better at answering these questions on the fly, but I have to really think about it.
All good.
Dude, my biggest learning lesson. Oh my gosh, there's like so many things that I've learned working here that I feel like I can give an answer to. Um, dude, I'm like so stumped. I'm like serious. I'm so stumped.
Or like maybe like one moment, or like maybe you heard someone say something or saw someone do something and you're like, oh, that's cool, or something that just kind of stayed with you.
Normally, like you know, normally coworkers. I've always been really crappy at like keeping in touch with people. Um, Not for any bad reasons. I just like I've always been so bad at like keeping in touch with people. And people sometimes give their coworkers a bad rap, or like their work and their work life and their real life are a completely separate thing. But this job has like really made me feel the complete opposite, and I want to keep in touch with people more. And I mean, I feel like I've become a better friend like being here at this job. Like I'm more in touch with people. I'm more vulnerable with people. Um, I'll randomly hit somebody up and be like, "How are you doing?" Or like, "Hey, I hope you have a good week," or whatever things that I would have never done in the past.
Mm.
Um, and on top of that, like, kind of opened my eyes too to a lot of these traits. Things that I never thought were important are now important because I see how valuable it is to the community. Like just like random traits, like holding yourself accountable and stuff like that. So I know it's a very cliche answer, but probably just being a better human being, a better friend, reaching out, keeping in touch with people more. I'm sure there's a million better answers that I could have gave, but
I think that's
that's
the
the first thing
perfect
that comes to
answer.
my head, man.
That's your truth. That's the best answer.
Yeah.
And it just makes me feel happy because like, you know, judging from the situation you were in, like you just kind of followed your gut and went back, and it sounds like, I mean, everything that I'm hearing sounds like it was the right choice. Um,
Yeah. Thank God, dude. In the moment it doesn't feel that way. It's very 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 scary. But having people to lean on is very important, and I feel like now I'm wanting to be the person that people can lean on now. Like if someone needs me, I'm here because I know how important it was for me when I needed it. So yeah, just this job has opened my eyes about a lot of things, man. Like being positive and being grateful is actually cool, and it's not bad. So
Mm.
yeah,
Those characters are doing a number on you. They're
dude, I think it's just like seeing like I've always been extremely positive. I always have been. I've never been ashamed of it. I've like it's just me. That's me as a person. But nowadays like dudes get a bad rap for like not being all like tough guy, whatever. But I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm polar opposite. Um, but it's like it's extremely like insane to me that you know people are out here like making a following because of it. Like you have a podcast talking about it, and there are people like in the community that legit are just like, man, I suck with names, but there was somebody like in the hospital, and they started a GoFundMe page for him, and like everyone pitched in, and like that's insane to me that these characters like this brand is like changing people's perspectives. It's just nuts to me, and it's amazing because you see the mass effect that like Nickelodeon and Disney and Pokemon has on people. But imagine a brand in the next 20 years that's going to have that big of an appeal, but is also like a good thing for people. Like it's insane to me.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean, it's very cool to kind of have these meta conversations looking kind of backwards, of everything that has kind of transpired to this
Yeah.
point. But yeah, one of the things that Gary said, and this was more in the context of NFT projects, but one of the things that he said that has always stuck with me is that this is a community, a true community in a sea of non-communities.
Hmm.
Um, and everyone says they have the best community, right? But
Yeah, of
like
course.
time and time again, like the GoFundMe, like someone needing someone winning access to something, and everyone chips in to send them, get them plane flights. um this happens, and the community sending over something, or this person got scammed, and we're finding the NFT and sending it back. Like just time and time again, like people show up for each other in those larger ways that get kind of more noticed, or like you just texting your coworkers like, have a great day, like have a great
Yeah.
Tuesday. Like it's all the same thing, and it's amazing to watch and be a part of, and to feel better
Dude,
just navigating life with it.
it's so insane. Like, I'm 25. Um, you know, talking to your parents about things that you appreciate at your age can be difficult sometimes because, what's cool to us might not be cool to them. Um, my mom, shout out to her, man. Love you, love my mom, but her and I had like a real, it's tough to like not engage with her, but like, have common interests because,
Mm.
I'm the son. But there was one day that we got into like a 4-hour conversation about VeeFriends. And like she was like, I've never seen her more focused in a conversation with me before in her life. Like she was like so engaged. She signed up for like the emails. She was on the Instagram. She followed Gary. Like she from that point forward became like the biggest VeeFriends fan. And like now she'll text me like when she sees an email talking about like, Fanatics Live or something like that. Like she's so engaged in it. And I love that because like this is a great brand to follow, dude. And and same thing like you just said too, like people buying each other hotels. Like what mass audience does that? Like these big venues and big concerts or like events that happen. You don't see people like looking out for each other like that. People are very selfish. And then you got people here that are like, hey, I can't get a hotel room or I can't afford a flight. And like people, you know, just buy them a flight or like, hey, I have an extra hotel room. You can stay with me. Like people, that's so insane to me. And it shouldn't be insane because it's honestly should be normal, but it's insane to me because it hasn't been normal for so long, and now because of this community, it's like shedding some light on like all the
Mm.
positivity, and it's just nuts to me, man. I've said it's insane like 20 times, but I'm like literally in awe sometimes, like looking at the community and like wow, these people are like actually good people. Like thank God, it's like a
Yeah,
large group of good people.
I'm very very grateful all the time. And now my wife I was the solo guy for a while, um, and now my wife and my son's old enough to be in it. Actually, Gary just retweeted. She posted a picture of him wearing the Practical Peacock as his thing because he got the
Dope.
plush from Macy's, so that was his first like love, and then he got the
That's
shirt.
awesome.
So my wife took a picture of both of them, and Gary ended up retweeting it, which is obviously cool because he
That's
knows who
awesome.
Gary is.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's like a family thing, um,
I love
and
that.
it's just awesome that knowing that this is going to be here for the generations to come.
I love that. How old is the son that got the Practical Peacock?
Five, five.
Whenever has a kid 5 years old known the word practical?
I,
Like when has he ever known that, or empathy? Like
that's a great
I remember VCon
call
one,
out.
VCon one. I was we were on a little boat with Gary, and I was sitting right next to him, and we were about to open some Series One cards with Rips, and I'm sitting there waiting for Rips to get whatever, and me and Gary are just talking shit about something, and I remember I had in the middle of the conversation I had said I try my hardest to like plug in the characters whenever I can. Um, so I think in the middle of the conversation I was like, oh yeah, empathy elephant. We were talking about being empathetic. And like he grabbed my shirt and like he got like looked me dead in the eye. He's like that's exactly what I'm trying to fucking do. What you just said is exactly what I'm trying to get at. I want people to use these characters to like reference things. Like
Mm-hmm.
a 5-year-old has never thought about the word empathy. But now the fact that, empathy is now a character, now it kind of opens up the gateways to like curiosity, what is empathy? And now you start kind of learning about it. Same with practicality. Like I didn't know how to spell empathy until I was like 10. Like it's
It's
insane
not a
to
word
me.
that people just don't say it. But it's so funny you say it. Like we don't say be patient in our house. Like
Exactly.
be a patient pig right now.
But exactly, that's more
Like
approachable to a kid.
that's it.
Yeah, like that's why I love it because you talk to a kid and you tell a kid be patient. The kid's like what? But you talk about be a patient panda. It's like oh I know patient panda. It's on my shirt. Like it's I just love like the connection to it and that's exactly that's what Gary told me he's trying to do. He's trying to get it to the point where like it's almost like a household word for young kids like empathy elephant. It's simple. It's something you can easily pick up and then it kind of grows curiosity and kids sort of like grow like a love for these characters and it just so happens these characters attach to a positive trait. It's a very cool circle.
I am here for it.
Yeah.
I am definitely here for it. So amazing. And I noticed I didn't even actually plan this, but we got our shirts yesterday. I wore it out in the world today.
How is it?
What?
You like it?
Oh, super comfy.
Awesome.
Fits awesome. And so, did you design all of these?
That was a large task. That was like a couple hands in the pot for that one. Um, but no, I helped with a couple, but like no, I didn't like design the large some of those. There was like 200 some odd of those had to get made.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did not make those. I've done a lot of the creative for it.
Hmm.
A lot of the stuff that you see on the site and like socials and whatever that's been pushed for the comfort collection. Um, I've done a lot of that, but yeah, I didn't touch the shirts, man. I'm sorry.
Your plate is full enough. No apologies
I
necessary.
I don't know what I was doing in the meantime.
Uh,
It might have been Masters of the Universe stuff actually. Now I'm thinking about it, but I'm sure I was doing something.
Amazing. Before we kind of transition to my last little segment here,
Sure.
I just want to thank you again for everything you're doing, for coming on here, for stepping out, from behind the curtain. Super fun, and I know a lot of there's a really dedicated community that always appreciates seeing the people behind the scenes, and it is very very cool because there's a lot of people that's are just fans that just happen to work on the team too. Corso,
Yeah.
it comes to mind first and foremost. Um, so that's always really appreciated, and obviously, like, just you're doing stellar work, and
Thank you for saying that.
keep it up.
Thank you.
So this last segment is called Micro Macro Spitfire.
Okay.
So I'm going to rattle off a whole bunch of things. You could get as general macro as you want, or you can get out your microscope and get really descriptive of why your answer is what it is.
Sure.
And I always, when people come on from the team, I always say this is not official VeeFriends advice. This is you, Mikey, the person.
Yeah.
So we'll put that stamp on for the PR team. So here we go. Who is an underrated rock star on the team that people need to follow right now?
Ah, damn. I don't think he has a social media, but Eric is a beast. Eric Montez. He's my right hand designer. He's a freaking just a dog. I love him.
Shout out Eric. That's like the third Eric reference.
I love Eric, man. Love Eric
show.
To death. Just great people.
Amazing. Favorite teacher you had growing up and one reason why?
Dang. Favorite teacher? I don't know. Like in school?
Yeah.
Or
I mean, the teacher can be anyone, really.
I had a math teacher in high school. Her name is Mrs. White, and she was the most organized person I've ever met in my life. And she taught me how to be organized. And to this day, I am probably borderline OCD because I cannot have anything not straight. So, yeah, she taught me organization. It's funny because my answer has nothing to do with school, but yeah.
A secret talent you have that most people don't know?
I can eat a lot of food really fast. I love food, so I can eat really fast. I'm not a really talented person. I like sports, though, so I can play basketball.
What's your favorite NBA team?
Miami Heat.
Oh,
I'm from
okay.
Miami.
Got it. If you only were able to keep one social media platform, what would you keep?
Instagram.
Favorite VeeFriends character?
The YOLO Yak.
Your favorite Series 2 background?
I suck at pronouncing it. I think it's Synesthesium. I think it's the one with the red planet. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
I'm not gonna try.
I suck at pronouncing it, but I love that background.
Favorite movie?
Ferris Bueller's Days Off. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Nice.
Love Ferris Bueller.
Throwing it back.
Love the 80s.
Do you have a favorite super sticker?
The Red Devil. Sickest super sticker.
So dope. Bougie hotel or hiking and camping in the woods?
Bougie hotel. God, I'm going to regret saying that, but yeah, bougie hotel.
Favorite concert you've ever been to?
Justin Bieber. That's funny that somebody actually asked me that this morning. Justin Bieber.
If you had to describe right now what you think the aura, the essence of VCon 2024 is going to be, what one word would you describe?
Oh my God, insane. Have you seen like the venue, like how this works?
I know what I've driven past it. I mean, I've been by the Staples Center. I've never been at an event at LA Live. I've seen the pictures on Google. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not too fond or familiar with LA Live, but I think it's like a conjunction of venues, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be cool. I mean,
it's a lot of outdoor area from what I understand.
Yeah. I hate flying, so I'm going to hate going out there, but once I land, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Amazing. Funniest person that you work with?
Corso or Rips, one of the two.
Paper Hands Pony or the Koala?
Koala.
Gratitude Gorilla or Patient Pig?
Gratitude Gorilla.
Would you rather have, and this kind of hits differently because you spent more time with him, but would you rather have a 2-hour group dinner with Gary, you and 9 other people, or a 20-minute one-on-one?
20-minute one-on-one. I think the vibe is a lot different when you're in direct like contact with somebody, like no distractions, just you and them. I think there's a lot more value in 20 minutes alone than 2 hours with a group.
and I won't. Sometimes I change this question,
Sure.
but I won't. If you could ask Gary one question, what would it be?
Uh, Play me one-on-one in basketball.
Let's go. Singing his face again.
I'm just fucking with him.
Amazing.
What's your favorite
Mikey,
character?
mine. Uh, I have different. It's hard for me. I'm not one of these people that gets like totally all in, crazy on one character.
Sure, yeah.
I love Passionate Parrot because it was my first NFT. I love Gary B because I think that's going to be the Mickey Mouse of it.
Okay.
I think he's going to be the Jiminy Cricket everywhere in the whole ecosystem forever and ever, and that's going to be
Yeah.
Gary. That's going to be Gary after long after Gary um, passes. But lately, I've been really connected to the Motivated Monster.
I like that character a lot. Any of the Halloween characters I think are really cool.
Motivated Monster.
As like an artist, the motivated monsters are really cool, like looking character.
Yeah, it's just hitting different. Like he's kind of like cute and innocent, but like I'm like really feeling the motivated stuff lately.
I love
Um,
that.
Specifically with this project. So yeah, that's I'll have a cop out with three answers.
No, that's dope, dude. Yeah, I could sit here and tell you a bunch of mine. I suck at giving a direct. I mean, there's so many to pick from. I've I've always loved the Driven Dragon. I think that's a really cool character. Um, Obviously, me saying this does not mean any character is better than any other. I just want to preface
Right.
that because people
Not
are probably going to twist this.
not official VeeFriends advice. Uh,
Yeah.
I do like to ask this question. Since we're talking about characters, what character do you feel like you need to spend more time with?
Well, it sort of goes to like my favorite character right now. It's the YOLO Yak. I've like just recently kind of hopped on the train with him. Um, and it's kind of weird like how I found him. Well, not weird, but I've always been like really tied to the dragon. I loved the dragon. Um, my first V friend was the Fuck You Monday Mole. And I ended up selling him to get a ninja. So I love my ninja. But Gary sent me a YOLO Yak, and it was ironic because I was going through like kind of like a weird time. But like I don't know. I started thinking about it. Like, dude, really like digest it. A lot of these traits, like a lot of us love these traits because we realize, like, dude, you've only got one life. Like, don't spend your
Mm,
one life being a dick. Like, be grateful, hold yourself accountable, be calm, be patient. Like, a lot of these traits stem from realizing that you've only got one life, live it correctly. So, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what YOLO is. So, when I got the YOLO Yak, obviously it's not a character that gets a lot of love. And I like that because my original favorite character was the Jolly Jacko, but then a lot of people started loving him. So I was like, all right, let me back off. Um, I'm gonna find a different character to fall in love with. And like
mm.
recently, I've been really and this is very recent, the YOLO Yak. So I've been rocking with him. I'm definitely gonna get me one of those character comfort shirts with the YOLO Yak on him for sure. But yeah, that's probably the guy that I need to spend some more time with because that was a very like recent transition.
I love that. And you're absolutely right. He doesn't get much love.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot
Not
of
too
characters
much
that don't get a lot
airtime.
of love. Yeah, not a lot of
Right.
airtime, but the one thing I do love is like I'm actually probably gonna tweet this sometime soon because I do want to get a feel for like a lot of people's like favorite characters or like why they resonate with some characters a lot, and it's like really cool to see some people's like answers sometimes on Twitter. Because dude, there's some people that will resonate with Determined Dolphin, and you don't see him very
Mm,
often. But Stacy, she loves Determined Dolphin for this XYZ reason because this happened to her family, and like there's everyone's lives kind of are obviously different, but it's kind of cool to see like how they can resonate with a specific character that you would never expect. So there's plenty to pick from.
I love
Um,
it.
yeah, and it's dope, man.
So cool. Um, yeah, this has been awesome. I can't thank you enough.
No,
So
of
happy
course, dude. Thank you.
to meet you. And I hope this is the first of many chats.
I'd love to come back, man. This was great. I appreciate you putting this on for people. I appreciate you giving some of the VeeFriends staff a platform. I just appreciate you showing love, and I'm excited to see who you get next. Anyone on the team is a good talk, so
I
I'm
love it.
excited.
Yeah, I mean there hasn't been anyone I've chatted with that hasn't been absolutely awesome. So that's in real life, off the record, or on this show. So I totally agree. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going anywhere. We are here for the ride.
I love it, dude.
But
I'm right here with you.
yeah, definitely. If you're listening to this, follow Mikey Caloca on Twitter, and all of the things. And
For
we
sure.
will chat soon. Thanks so much, Mikey.
See you guys.